So I'm officially done with my uni classes for about a month and a bit, meaning that I've got a lot more free time to focus on this channel amongst a lot of other things. Not saying there's going to be a higher frequency in uploads, since only once a week works pretty well for me in my schedule, but I should have a lot more time to work on making better edited and more engaging videos, thumbnails, etc. So hopefully you guys enjoy that going forward. Anyways, today I wanted to talk about routines since the topic has been on my mind a bit. Maybe as I'll talk on a bit later in this video for better or worse reasons. But to start off with, I want to talk about how important they are and how they've positively impacted my life, along with how I put them in place and some advice I have for putting them into your guys' lives and maybe some advice from me as well to how to stick with them. So let's get straight into the video. Routines are probably one of the most impactful things to your well-being, mood, and life situation in general. I found that my comfortability, flexibility, and mental state usually go up and down in direct correlation with the types of routines that I have in place, whether that be good, bad, or the absence of such. Routines are how we structure our days, and a good one can make our days feel longer, more fun and enjoyable, more productive as well, with the inverse being true for bad routines. I could not tell you the countless amount of days that I felt like I've either been lost or cut in half because of spending the majority of the time the sun was out either in my bed, on my phone, or in my bed on my phone. Contrastingly, I could be given a shit ton of homework, a result that wasn't expected from a chunky assignment from uni, or a rush at work that became hell on earth, and still have a big stupid smile on my face due to me just having a great start to the day or end of the previous night. It really is shocking how impactful a routine can have on your well-being, but I know from first experience that a good one can literally change your life. I found that getting a few small tasks done early on in the day leads to my days feeling unbelievably long, to a point where I genuinely start to believe that time is slowing down. There's a general sentiment that I've been seeing that as we grow older, our perception of time changes from when we were younger, as years start to blend in together and we start feeling like we're losing time out of nowhere. But honestly, the past 6 months of me have felt about as long as the entirety of my 2025, all thanks to some good routines that I help implement into my schedule. And I think it's pretty important to make this distinction between good routines and bad routines, as I firmly believe that having a bad routine can go beyond just not having a routine at all for your days, and that we could slowly build up habits like checking your phone as soon as we wake up, staying up way later than we should be when we know that we have to wake up early on in the morning, and procrastinating life tasks due to ongoing stress, which can all compound into really nasty situations that I personally have had my fair share of throughout my life. Now, I'm going to be the first person to come out and say that I am no saint. I'm not exactly practicing what I'm preaching 24/7, even as I'm writing this script at about 1:30 a.m. when I have a shift in less than 8 hours that I need to wake up and get ready for. I'm not claiming to be a perfect angel who always gets in their 8 hours of sleep every single day, or holds discipline to stick with everything that I've set out to do for a given day. Again, bit of a self-report here, but today, as I was writing the script, not as I was reading the script, was actually an unplanned rest day that I later adapted into my current schedule to allow me to get away with it. I was planning on going to the gym earlier this day, but I ended up staying home in bed and on my phone for way later than I should have been. And by the time I had the energy to finish my normal wake up routine business and get to the gym, I had to choose between either taking the day off or basically just not having an afternoon at all. And throughout this year, I've been taking the latter situation in situations like this, but double checking my schedule for the week, it would actually make more sense to take this day off as a rest day. So I decided to bite the bullet and actually begrudgingly prepare myself for a hell on earth day tomorrow. Not helped by the fact that I won't be getting my full beauty sleep for a 7-hour shift, followed by a 2.5 hour gym session, along with a bouldering session that I was doing afterwards. It was a busy as fuck day. The yesterday, which was the day that I'm talking about here, as I'm recording this. But this works a good transition. This works to a very good transition here into one of the main ways that I've helped implement routines into my schedule, and that is to be keeping my routines and stuff that I want to do fairly flexible. I've mentioned it a bit before, but I generally consider myself more of a science-based lifter on the side of lifting, with one of those approaches that I follow being a frequency and intensity approach over a volume approach. Because of this, I'm able to set more time aside in my weeks to rest and recover, allowing me to A, properly rest on days off with nothing to worry about, and B, move around the days that I do lift pretty flexibly, meaning that if I miss one day in the gym that I was planning on going to earlier on in the week, I can still go later on in the week and not miss out on anything and still pretty much just hit every single muscle group that I have on my body twice a week. This more flexible approach with routines has helped me get quite consistent in not just the gym, but also health and fitness as a whole, as I do my best to track pretty much every single meal that I eat. And while sleeping is definitely a bit wishy-washy, I do generally do my best to get in or at least average around 8 hours of sleep a night. This also leads us to another point which I've mentioned before, which is just to take your time with implementing stuff like routines into your schedule. I personally just had going to the gym as a general goal for the days that I was going to the gym as my only real strict routine, but I slowly started introducing more traditional morning routine stuff that I now do every single morning, such as getting in some fresh air in my room and reading, along with taking care of myself hygiene-wise on a more consistent basis than I was doing before I make my breakfast. And more recently, I've also started to be implementing in some more consistent nighttime routine and stuff to get me more prepared for bed, making it easier for me to commit to a set bedtime for myself, as having more stuff to do, I find helps me keep me off my phone for longer, personally. And this sounds like pretty basic stuff, and I'll admit that it is, but you'd be surprised how a lack of these fundamental routines aren't really as uncommon as you think, especially for people going through hard times, or if you're like me, have struggled with disorders like clinical depression throughout your life. It can really take a lot of time before you start getting to a point where you feel disciplined enough to even handle these seemingly basic routines, but making an effort to at least start with one task at a time and slowly building up from that really helped me out. As far as more general tips for implementing routines into your schedule goes, I'd say it really depends on person to person and how busy you are, but I'd say working out a good morning and nighttime routine covering some basics like no phone 60 minutes before sleeping or after waking up, a bit of light exercise, whether that be in the form of stretching as you wake up or going to the gym, although me personally, I like to go to the gym after I have my breakfast or later on in the day. Reading as you wake up or go to bed as this gets your mind working in a more productive way. I find that reading before bed also helps me get to sleep a lot faster than if I was just kind of trying to raw dog it on my own or just kind of spending the an hour or two just kind of scrolling on my phone. Having a general plan as well for what you want to do for the next day written out before you go into the next day kind of gives you a reason to get out early in the morning. I find that also helps as well. Also reflecting on your day before you go to bed, general hygiene before you go to bed and after you wake up, like brushing your teeth, flossing, shaving, taking a morning or nighttime shower or both, etc. There's really just a laundry list of stuff that you can choose to help get you out or get your days just kind of feeling more full and active. And I don't think I could really add much to the conversation on that end there. But again, I just want to highlight the importance of taking this one step at a time and also not beating yourself up if you miss something one day and just aiming to get back on track. That's a kind of core principle I started building up when I was getting back into the gym, but it really does apply to a lot of different aspects in life as I've learned over the past few months. And the only thing you can really do right now is just live in the present moment and not let yourself get hung up on the past or the future. Life can get in the way of a lot of things, but I find that having the resolve to stick to what you set out to do for the day and continue to push through hard times makes the good times feel all the better. And this leads into one more thing that I want to touch on in this video, and that a structured routine just makes anything you did to pass the time feel that much better. I made it pretty apparent here that I like to play a lot of different games, but there was a period for about 18 months where I had just felt miserable and barely played anything. I went from beating around 70 games in 2024 to about 14 in 2025, mainly just due to being in a slump and not really having a structured plan for a lot of my days, resulting in me just kind of passing time by going on my phone. But in the last month alone, I just finished up GTA 4 and Halo Combat Evolved, two games that I've been putting off for years. And a couple of days ago, I recently been getting back into Doom Eternal and have been enjoying the shit out of that as well. And while again, the last week or so, my routine hasn't really been all structured or planned as much as I'd like it to be, I still have it to be pretty flexible to allow myself time to properly relax and do the stuff that I want to do. And getting in a great workout and pumped to come home and sit down and play some great games feels all the more better than any day that I had years ago, where I essentially just kind of wake up, make myself breakfast, and just play games for 8 hours a day, hating myself. And that's about where I want to wrap it up for today. I went to a few different darker topics than I wanted to, and I also did feel like I was kind of regurgitating a bit of the information that I mentioned in some of my previous videos, like my balance video at times. But I hope I did bring some new stuff to the table that can help anybody watching now or in the future. Thanks again for watching this video. Hit a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I want to see if I can get to, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 subscribers within the next few months or so, and I think that would be pretty sick. Thanks for sticking around and take care.